Testing, testing. Okay, great. Yeah, so we're back. All right, we are back.
Hello.
Segment 2 of our interview with Joe Grisaffi of SouthwestCasting.com. So I want to thank you for coming out. You might want to scoot on a little bit more if we can. All right. Yeah, so there you go. You're good. All right, so we were actually segueing into pirating. We talked about anime a little bit. We talked about voiceover. So you want to expand on that, share with our audience?
Well, you had asked me about, is it worth pursuing voiceover work?
Right.
One thing I want to point out to any actors that might be listening, it's worth pursuing if you love it.
Right.
But be aware that voice acting, voiceover work is probably the most competitive part of acting.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Once you start learning and getting involved, you'll realize most of the voiceover jobs pretty much go to the same people.
Man.
There's just a handful of people in Houston. My experience is Houston.
Right.
There's just a handful of people that are the go-to people. It's very hard to break into that clique because the people that are doing it are so good. They have home studios. They can do voiceover jobs all over the country. Right. But you're talking about a very, very particular acting skill set. You know, like the guy that used to do the voiceover for movie trailers. Right. You know, actors used to joke, we're gonna have to wait till he dies before one of us can get that job, because he becomes a voice actor, a voiceover artist. The ones that are working are so good. Right. They get it right in the first take. Right. Which saves the production a lot of money. Yes. Versus hiring someone who just is looking for on-the-job experience. Right. And takes up an hour, 2-3 hours of studio time to get it right. And the experienced pro comes in and says, "Oh, here I am," and they're done. Right. You pay them a little more because they get it done so quickly. Right. And save you time. Yeah. But that being said, there used to be a company in Houston that would do Japanese animation. Okay. They would buy the Japanese animation, hire voice actors to do it in English, then they'd release it. There was a lot of my friends worked for this company. The company was ADV Films. They're still around using a different name. I think Seraphim Digital Studios now, but there's not a lot of work for those actors anymore. For like 10 years, there was dozens, maybe a couple hundred voice actors in the state that this company hired on a regular basis to voice these shows, and they were always looking for new voice talent because they got tired of hearing the same old voices. But those same voices would keep getting the work for the reasons I just said. They come in, they know how to handle the ADR work. Right. And if they can use a different character's voice. Oh yeah. So it's the same person, but one actor can do, a good anime voice actor can do a dozen voices, and you'll never know it's the same person. So you hire that person to do 12 roles, and you've saved several hours of studio time. But that market kind of dried up for those shows. They're still doing them, but they have to concentrate on the really popular shows. Right. Just because there was so much product out there. So it is a good. As far, because when I'm a member of Voice Universe, VU.com, and they were, when you first join, they say, hey, only if you're serious, and if you are serious, if you're a DJ, if you're a radio host, if you're, someone, a TV show host, just because you speak in your job doesn't mean you can do voiceover. No, you're absolutely right. It is such a skill set. Okay. And even when you just use the term voiceover, it means so many different things. Right. Because you got commercials, you got movies, you got industrial videos. A lot of actors don't realize there's a whole business segment. Right. Corporate video. Right. We did one, and we had voice on it. Correct. Yeah. And they didn't select me. Then you got cartoons. You have a cartoon animation. Yeah, Cartoon Network. The thing about the Japanese animation is, it's done differently than American animation. In American animation, if you and I are the actors, we go to the studio, we record our lines. We have creative freedom. We have the luxury of saying it any style, any pace we want, or the director wants. Then they take that voice track and they go animate the characters to it.
Oh, really?
In Japanese animation, they do the animation first.
Oh.
So when you go into the studio to do the English version, you're restricted by the character's mouth movements.
Right.
So that's why it's such a special skill set there.
Okay.
Because the actor has to come in and know exactly the
time
pace to say that.
Right.
And it's not necessarily the right way to say it, because you and I might say a line a certain way to get the punchline, and it gets lost.
Right.
Because you're restricted how quickly or how long you can take to say that line.
Oh, that's it.
As an example, but voice acting is such a difficult, such an important skill set, such a difficult genre acting
skill
niche to get into.
Yeah.
If actors work on it, but work on your on-camera stuff. That's where your best chances are.
Right, right. So do you feel like, because earlier you said voiceover is actually more competitive, the most competitive.
Yes.
So is on-screen acting less competitive?
Well, it's all competitive.
Right.
There's a lot of actors that want what few jobs there are.
Yeah.
But the voice thing is because there's just a core group of people that get all the work.
Right. So speaking of that, of actors that have been on screen. So, in my mind, I can watch a Will Smith clip, because it's I love it, Legend, and I wish I could do it right now, but I'm just not feeling up to it. So I have like allergies or something. But there's a scene, a monologue, where he says, "There is no God," and it's just it's crisp, it's clean, it's poignant, it's passionate. I just love that monologue. So I feel like if I can nail that, then I can get an acting job.
Well, it's possible.
It's possible.
You know, most on-camera acting jobs, though, do not require a monologue to audition.
I'm learning that.
Actors should always have a monologue at their disposal
right.
in case you're asked.
Right.
But you should have two contrasting monologues, comedy and drama, something polar opposite, so they can see your range.
Gotcha. Good tip.
It's good to know a monologue, but that alone is not going to get you an acting job. You have to know how to cold read.
Right.
Be prepared. You have to learn the skill of a cold read. You also, when you have the opportunity, go into an audition prepared, knowing the material already.
Right.
Know a character's backstory when you go in. Even for a commercial audition, if you give your character a little background in your mind, it helps.
Yeah, because you're more natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how your character got into this particular situation.
Yeah, because
whatever it might be.
One commercial that I auditioned for you was the Cons commercial, and me and my wife were shopping.
Right.
And we had to say, "Oh, look at that big screen TV," you know. So you're right. I mean, the fact that I had shopped for TVs and I do get excited about TVs, it helped me out a lot. You know?
Yes.
It was more natural, you know. Of course, my wife I just met 5 seconds ago, but you know, that's another story. That happens, right? So yeah, but you're right. I was more comfortable doing that.
Right.
I was more comfortable doing that. So yeah, so on the acting with the monologue not being necessary.
Well, I don't want to say it's not necessary.
Right. No.
You should know one. It's just you rarely ever use it in the initial audition.
Right. Yeah. So I'll
at some point at the audition, the director might say, "Oh, you know what? Do you know any monologues?"
I agree, and that's pretty much the point I was trying to make was. When on paper, black and white, I was like, okay, well, make sure you know a monologue because 9 times out of 10 you'll get asked. But that's not been the case. More so, it's been either cold script reading